everyone, thanks for joining me on the channel. uh, Sorry for the late night video. I just wanted to, I do a lot of things in my life and I've been so busy with the editing, and I also been going around places to look for parts for my vehicle, which is a camper van, which I really love. And people ask me questions about my van and what I camp in it and what I do in my van, which I love doing. I love camping, and camping is the most people's favourite, especially they want to go out into nature, camp in the middle of nowhere for months, cook sausages and chicken and rissoles with sausage sandwiches on the barbie for 6 months, and it's amazing what people can do. But for this video is I wanted to do a special edition of the Let's Talk About Children and Teenagers between 0 to 18 years old with Parents Part 2 and Families Part 2. And I also wanted to talk about training families who might have kids with disabilities, physical to mental, which I will get to, and I'm going to get to that stage. And also, if people see me drinking, this is my favourite, and I also helps me think better of a morning and do things better of a morning too, which you see me drink, you know I'm thinking better. But let's talk about children again, part 2. I'm up to the elderly care. The last time I talked was yesterday, when I talked about elderly care in youth facilities inside Australia. There's about between 700 to 2,000 and about 1,300 to 2,000 kids in those facilities under the Child Protection Agency's care, under Child Protection, ever since 2015 to 2000, which is unfortunate. But I want to talk about the youth facilities and why they're there and how they operate, and I'm going to do some special tasks for this new edition as well, which this board at the back is going to be my background and where I'm going to space my little pictures for you to see, and it may take me a bit of time to editing, and takes me a bit of time, but I'll work on it. And I've been having a few people telling me how amazing I do my editings and all that in my videos and my business, and I got a few people telling me which is the best logo to run this business. I got a few people telling me the empowerment fist is the icon for my business, which is going to be empowerment for people with disabilities. Is what this business is meant to do, is power people with disabilities and so on, and have people to have a voice inside Australia and other countries, which I will do, and I will do in the long run. But let's talk about children. Yes, children in their teens. I mentioned they've been going to high school, they got different subjects, they do cooking, woodwork, metalwork programs. Sometimes they do programs outside of classrooms to help them, like domestic violence programs, sporting programs, and YouTube advertisement, maybe like that, or other programs that can help them in the long run when they turn 18. And girls in year 11 have to look after these toy bite type babies when they have to learn to be mums when they get older. And that's the thing I want to talk about, families, in a bit of a session on the talking about children. And yes, children go through a lot. Some kids ended up in family community services, child protection due to vulnerabilities and dangers. Sometimes they live with their friends without parents. Parents look after them. They got strict rules. Some don't. And that's another thing I didn't mention about is most residential cares and most parentings have very strict rules around parental guidance and all that stuff, where kids can't play very violent games due to the nature of violence and bad habits of getting into those games. I've seen a few on Facebook. I've seen parents are very strict on kids, on especially like Grand Theft Auto, Saints Row, Call of Duty, Battlefield, and so on, where kids want to play. I've seen kids the age of 10 play PlayStation 5s, PlayStation 4s when they get home from schools, and go on to live, going to multiplayer mode with their friends on a Wi-Fi based internet mode, to competition with their friends to get peaks, rewards, and so on. But where some of them actually play Fortnite. Sometimes it's Fortnite, Minecraft. There was one on the counter fair the other time where one can win up to 25 grand and never goes to school because he's earning money, which is a very good thing. Earning money is always someone's goal, especially when they turn 14, go to McDonald's. They may want to do more than just McDonald's, serving burgers at customers. I've seen a few people the age of 14, 15 want to work at supermarkets and earn a bit of money, but don't pay tax before they're 18 and earning a lower rate between $9 and $15 an hour, but it's still your life skills. For children, they want to end up buying their own car, have parents that teach them how to drive. Like, you get some very difficult people, sometimes you don't. Teenagers is when they reach their teens, over 18 is when I will talk about. But when they get older, they'll start drinking alcohol before the age of 18 and have a bit of trouble in school grounds, out of school grounds, and so on. Hang with their mates for drinking and smoking cigarettes, having parties, throwing trash on the ground, and all that crazy things. And that's the big thing about kids and children. They don't have the same mindsets as older people like my age and people over 65. When we think about getting older is, let's say somebody the age of 40 say, oh, this person's an idiot on the road doing burnouts, and I've seen now a lot of times where people say, hey, this person's dangerous on the road, getting off the road. And they say, he's a young person, where they just don't know the road rules of everyone, where person saying, that person should be off the road, off suspension for 6 months, no license. And there's a lot of people there I know, myself and other people are aware about, is you see a lot of P plates, green peas, red peas, whatever, speeding. I've seen a lot of times on the news and other news articles where teenagers go 100 k's an hour and all that stuff, and say, why are you going 100 k's an hour? Said the police officer. Asked him, why are you speeding? Why is he reasons for speed? I said, I just want to have fun. And drinking alcohol on the wheel, where teenagers don't understand the basic rules when it comes to the registrations rules and so on, where there's poor unification within consequences of their actions, where they face more penalties if they do the wrong thing, or the police are not have the acknowledgement and the training to train young people. The police and the government say, oh, they're idiots, they should not be driving. what the government doesn't understand is what I do understand is you have to look at the age, the education and acknowledgement when it comes to a treating kids, middle age and senior citizens, where you have to look at behaviours, human body counters, behaviours and diagnostics when it comes to human beings, where that's where the big part comes in. We're gonna do more research, put that stuff on the wall, and it's where the big things will be ready to. I know how I'm gonna read my thingy and all that stuff. I'm gonna do more researching to be. I got people telling me saying to me today, wow, you do more, you're on the mission to do something you want. And that's what my mission is do something I really want to do, is something like going into the government house, telling them registration needs to be changed. Is this too much for someone? It needs to be something done before more damage gets done, and that's the whole reason why something needs to be done before the damage is being too late. And with teenagers don't have the brain mindsets like a middle-aged 40-year-old can do, what can't always do. Like burnouts, they want to get fun, and I seen a lot of teenagers between 16 to 24 doing burnouts, having B8s, B6s, Commodores, Falcons in a car park, doing skids, burning their rubbers, showing off to the social media like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Like, there's been a lot of news on a lot of news articles around youth crime, as I haven't even mentioned yet. Youth crime is up its highest. There's been problems around Queensland, and it happened in Victoria way before Queensland. It's been one with Robert Owens in a Pauline Hanson article where they're talking about youth crimes, bashing a cartoon breweries, and where what happened to the old Steve Owens family. Like, it used to be the classic family, but Robert Owens is getting, what I do think if I was saying is, Robert Owens is a family member of Terry and Steve Owens are the classic Australian icons. I love Steve Owens when it comes to his hunting grounds, like catching crocs and all that. Since his death, it's been a bit of greediness when it comes to being rich and being the rich symbol again. Like, me seeing Robert Owens telling Pauline Hanson to take out the article and getting his lawyers is another way of being arrogant and don't care about money. And I will gonna talk about billionaires in the next few videos on why billionaires don't care about money, and why billionaires don't care about people with disabilities and that and other things, and why this is going on. Where that's the main reason why youth crime in Victoria is up higher before Queensland, but police have been cracking down. They've been talking about bail reforms, and Queensland's in the bunk, and now New South Wales having a problems with youth crimes. And why youth crimes are going up, you have to look into old registrations, kids, and people always say it's the government's fault, but that's not always the case. Where I heard on most stories where most kids don't have the good parents they want. It could be a 16-year-old is hanging around. I heard in Queensland, that's another thing why I dislike youth facilities. And that's why I want to share with the government. especially with the Queensland government too, where a few people want. There's been some information I heard of why youth kids are doing crimes like stealing cars, breaking and entering the houses, and all that stuff. Is the not just parents don't have the ability to look after these children, but also it could be the government's fault too. Like I heard that Queensland is taking kids away from parents and putting in residential care homes with kids who has a background past of crimes and teaching other people to do crimes. And one dad tells the government that they should be shut down. So I don't think it's the kids' fault. But in my mind, I think it's the Queensland's government's fault for bringing these kids into those homes and increasing crime. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. No way it shouldn't have happened. But I'm going to make a change where those facilities are not meant for people with disabilities. Anyone on the pension card should not. Anyone with disabilities, no matter if they're kids or not, shouldn't be in youth facilities where kids have trouble with their foster parents. Kids with disabilities should either stay in foster care or ended up somewhere where it's disability friendly. That's why I want to change the registrations on youth facilities, is to stop crime. If you want to stop crime from going up, there's a few ways to stop it, but don't say we are solving the problems since you're not. I know the inside of the problems, why it's happening and why it shouldn't happen in the first place. You think youth homes are gonna help kids away from their parents and all that stuff? Like, it's increasing crime from encouraging new kids to do bad stuff like breaking in the cars, breaking in the houses, and it shouldn't have happened in the first place. That's another goal I do want to, is to shut down the youth homes, which is a difficult name. Whoever department it's run by the children's department, has to be shut down. I may not shut it down in 2 years, but I might shut it down in 10 years. Is to stop the increase. If we want to stop the increase of crime, shut down the residential cares. And there's been a lot of talk within bail reforms where they're talking about why. There's been a lot of people angry with the governments on why is their bails not fixed. And that's a very good topic. Is bail, you have to look the why kids are breaking bail. You have to look at the parents again. You have to look at the kids' mind, and you have to look at the government's registrations. Why the youth home is why is the bail hasn't been fixed? People are saying we should have castle law in Queensland. We should need laws to defend our own homes without being charged or prosecuted on why we shouldn't have break-ins in our homes. People's homes, I understand that people's homes are important, their families are important, their kids are important, and their own stock, their own assets are more important than just having kids breaking nose, stealing car keys. I've seen dash cams, I've seen kids smashing cars, getting away, filming on social media. Oh, this is fun, I was escaping from the police and all that. But also you'd be endangering yourself if you were a kid and something's gonna happen. There's a few things that might happen if you were a kid. Is you might have an incident. I heard of two incidences where kids stole and the people who got stole a car ran in their recovery car, which is a stolen car, and straying and trying to harm a kid where they stole their car and begging not to have mercy, where they ended up in hospital with injuries and bruising from the victims who they robbed, where the police says you may be charged for assault, which I understand where they following the registrations, where it's me, I have two disagreements, where people should have the rights to defend their own homes no matter what. In America and some wars in Australia, if you get attacked or your life's being threatened, you should have the right to defend yourself. If you end up being harmed from a person who is robbing you, no matter it's a weapon, a gun, assault rifle or anything, people should have the rights to defend in their own homes against kids. And also why kids are doing it is, as another thing that people don't understand about, is I got a friend who used to be a neighbour of, but he also mentioned to me that kids are also stealing cars, especially luxury cars, due to higher value in car parks that people really don't know about and don't understand about. A reason why your kids are stealing your cars is to sell off car parts. Maybe an engine may be twice the value of the market value of the stock value's engine. Let's say the engine's worth $20,000. You'll be selling an engine $40,000 and parts worth luxury seats, stereos, like 2 or 3 times the market value. And they don't end up that far. They got police behind their backs with 10 or 20 police cars behind them, and people need to have this in mind, where if you're seeing kids stealing cars, that's why they're stealing cars, because the car's price after market value. Is they looking for third parties to buy them off then for more money, and we don't know what they spend that money on, and why they need money is maybe have to look the parents' choices, why they're not giving them hope on why kids are not getting what they want. Like, back to the burnouts and the robbery of the teenagers doing tire shredding on car parts is another thing. Is also, I want to go back to the car show, on whatever you call it, is teenagers between 16 and 24 doing burnouts inside car parts, filming on tire robbery and burning their tires. Is another thing that teenagers don't understand why having peas is, yet again, fun. You have to look at social media. Social media is a tool when it comes to, if you look at social media, it's a tool to have your followers, your followings, your friends, your views, earnings, advertisements, and so much more that the police and the government don't understand about. The government says they're doing the fucking wrong thing. Get them off the road. What the government doesn't understand is boydism, which is a new word for me, is boysism. Is a word that people are bored and they want something fun. Like, let's have the social medias up. Let's get people's attentions. Doing burnouts in the car park, showing off to my friends. I'm having fun on the wheel, drinking alcohol in the driver's seat. Which, I'm so cool. Which ends up having consequences down the line in the long run, where something might happen. There's been few incidences where people end up getting killed, knocked down. But I do want to train the government on that too, is social media is the problem, not the teenagers. They got no friends, they want more friends to earn their revenues, had a bit of fun on the wheel, where they need something more. As where, and also, teenagers don't care if their car's worth $1 or 20,000. All they care about, they don't care if the tyre's worth $200 of it. And they don't care if it's a toy or not. That's where training and the understanding comes in. And this is why I wanted to train the government on teenagers and children and people with disabilities and senior citizens on pension cards on why they're doing this. I want to train the parents and the police, the government on why this is happening, and hopefully the government understands why teenagers are doing burnouts in car parks because of social media. It didn't happen 20 years ago. It happened. It's been an increase. I'm only going to put on the wall if I find it. Is why. I'm going to pull up the wall if I see one. On why is increase. I'm going to pull the articles up why there's an increase. If it's true that teenagers are doing it 20 years later because of social media, that's a big thing why the government needs to be trained. If it wasn't for social media or YouTube, it wouldn't be any crime on drag racing or burnouts and street racing. It's all about friends, more attention, like attention seeking. They want something to be fun. And money is another thing. Money is a people's problems, especially young people. I've seen a lot of P-platers on the road or what when I'm driving, where they have more problems. I've seen maybe one ages ago where they may graphically overtake you 50 k's over you, and they don't care about people's boundaries when driving the roads, or they don't care if they cause themselves in an accident. And I might come to liability or end up having them killed. As where I do want to talk to the government about. And this is why I wanted to have these new changes soon. But unfortunate, but hopefully I will talk more about these topics on why. I will talk about more about billionaires and people like Mark Zuckerberg, Donald Trump, on why they're doing things their ways. And I know they'll do a big story on Donald Trump, Elon Musk, on why they're losing their confidence and why they're doing what they're doing. And I want to make sure what I'm gonna do to fix it with them. Elon Musk has been a big thing. Cars again. But people, maybe a couple of percentage of people, maybe 2-5% of people in Australia know that Elon Musk created PayPal as part of a market share. Elon Musk is actually, I've been hearing a lot of topics about Elon Musk, but I will talk about that in the next video. It's not really a subject for me for tonight, but maybe another night. I will talk about Elon Musk and why his market shares drop, why he's losing his business. I will explain that more in the videos down the line in the topic. But children is going to be one of my main topics on why there's youth crime and how the government's going to fix it, and bylaws, why people are angry with, why the kids are getting out, why they're attacking people. They're also wanting Victoria where I seen a stressing video of a teenager attack a public member with a machete and his face was bleeding, or his arm was bleeding, and he's ended up in jail for 10 months, and people are saying he's going to be out on bail and he's going to end up in a residential care home in Victoria, and they're saying either he's going to re-offend again. But one thing I did say in the video and what my outcomes are is why the government is sending him to a youth home. I'm dissatisfied that it shouldn't have happened. His crimes are distressing for some people, and he should have got a longer sentence, where people might agree. But one thing I don't agree with is the government, state governments putting kids inside a youth home with criminals that may have him reoffend even more. They said in the news where his parents don't want him at their house, but putting him in a government facility home is gonna make him reoffend more because of the kids' outcry when it comes to crime. It's not run properly. You're gonna have staff 6 hours a day and night, alarms in the hallway, 20 in the night where they have to know, and kids are gonna feel it's a prison to them. That's another dissatisfactory where they should have put him in a different place or have some kind of programs to stop him from reoffending and all that stuff. Well, we'll talk to you about that. But as always, things are gonna happen every day. New news is about kids reoffending on bail. But the reason why kids reoffend on bail is 3 elements. One is parents are not doing a good job of looking after kids. One is poor government registrations. And 3 is no programs for youth kids. Don't have the funding to support these kids, where they got no job. The government doesn't understand why kids are breaking in the home, stealing cars and all that stuff. The government doesn't understand why kids are doing it, and that's just why I wanted to train the government. Why kids are stealing cars is the market value of car parts 2 or 3 times the market stock price. It's one thing I do want to train governments on that. Instead of jumping the hoops and saying, oh, these kids are stealing cars because they want to. I know the real facts that the government doesn't know. And that's why I wanted to train these governments. I have all the resources to not understand why kids are doing it and why they're doing it. And that's just why I want to look into governments, look into programs and have more knowledge in the governments, what they're doing and what they're doing right with kids. And this is where the abuse and the vulnerabilities come in, where with kids, where they think they're doing things right, but they tackle in it the wrong way and poor decisions within the chamber of the government, where they should have looked into it better and have a bit more knowledge of why kids are doing it. And that's why I want to talk to the governments. This is why I want to have interviews, do my podcasts with governments. I want to do podcasts with the Youth Justice Minister, police ministers, and all that on kids. What kind of task force they're setting, what programs they're having, and what people were doing, what people have to say to me on YouTube, why kids are doing it, and why the governments are doing this wrong. And I'll explain to the people why something is not done properly. And I have to explain to people why the government thinks that, not the other way around. And that's a really hard topic, why it shouldn't have happened. And people are asking for really, really, really tough bail reforms to keep kids locked up behind bars and say community comes first. Is the first thing I would say why bail reforms are not why bail is not working, why the kids are reoffending on bail after the day of custody is poor registrations. Like, you got 4 laws. You got the civil, you got the common law, criminal, and you got other laws. You got so many laws in 3 or 4 parts of registrations. You got common, civil, and so on. And I will explain in the back for a couple of seconds in that part, as I'm gonna re-edit my videos, and I edit it a bit better and have more links so people to understand why there's poor registrations. And you got 4 laws: civil, aviation, common law, criminal law, and government law. Is why. And you got council law as well. You got 3 levels of government. You got local, which is the council, state, and federal law. It's 3 laws, 3 jurisdictions under few registrations. Where you got the local government, which is controlled maybe by local governments and councils, which they can change laws within their council areas. State is managed by registrations inside a state, more in a council, less than the federal government's registrations. Federal government is the highest registration, where the federal government has laws the whole entire Australia. If you're thinking why bail isn't working for kids, you have to talk to the registrations on why. There's 4 laws, maybe 5. I learned that in the security training. There's 4 laws within one place. You got common, criminal, and civil. And we can't just change. Governments have to look in registrations to look into judges and magistrates on why it's happening. They have to make tougher rules for magistrates on communities have to go first in attentions. And you also, and why bail laws are very weak, and why, and I also been seeing police not doing much. I've seen people saying, oh, the police are not doing much around kids. We can't touch them. We can't arrest them. We can't excessively force them. And why they can't touch kids, you got like registration where they can't touch any kid the age of 10. But you also got laws they cannot charge or arrest kids. Even if a kid 8 years old stealing a car, they cannot arrest them because of the registrations. You got registration, we can't touch kids under the age of 10. Over the age of 10, you can arrest them and charge them whatever. You can charge them for murder. But back to actually, sorry, it's just a couple of people making fun on the bikes, on the riding electric bikes on the roads and all that stuff. That usually happens. But you also got to be when the kid reaches 16 years old, it's when there's been a couple of talks where government agencies are talking about convicting them as an adult instead of a child over the age of 16. And that's where the difficult question comes in. Should the government change the rules to have kids charged as adults while they're under 18? It is a very difficult topic. Is they wanted to change the laws on youth crime and cracking down on thefts, on stolen cars and breaking and entries, and how to stop it, and why kids are doing this. And that's why they're doing all these rules, registrations on why they're doing this. I do want to talk about the parent thing, but it's getting late of the night, and that's just why the government's changing the rules on youth crimes, and why they're changing as adult is to crack down on crime on the streets and make sure kids were not to have this happen again. But I don't think it's working. They're talking about changing the laws to keep kids behind bars. I don't think it's gonna work, but we'll see what the outcome is on that, and see what's gonna happen on the registrations and all that stuff on that, and so on, and all that stuff. Anyways, I'm probably gonna have my little finishing video. It's getting late in the night. I'm gonna have to talk about third round. It's been a bit late for me to actually talk more about the youth crime and children, why we're doing youth crimes and all that stuff. It is a big topic, but it is diverse. Why? I will talk about this more in the third topic. I'm going to put a link down in the second topic. On the first topic, I'm going to put maybe 2 in the third topics on it, on why this is happening. And I wanted to train people and people on the streets and the public on why it shouldn't happen, how to avoid it, and what costs and cons and pros are out there. And I have to do more research on youth crime and all that stuff. And I'm going to look into my video more. I'm going to do a bit of editing on this tonight, and this topic's going to be part 3 on the next day, on top of the other, probably. But comment me or anything if you got any questions about my topics tonight. I'm going to put a link down on my page, on the first page of my children's and teens topic, and why is it happening. Thanks again, and I will do more videos. Thanks for joining my channel. I will talk more about these topics, and I'm going to talk more about youth crime and part 3 of teenagers and kids and why is it happening. And I will talk to you tomorrow, and I have to post more on Instagram. I got all that stuff on the thing, and I wanted to say thanks everyone for joining my channel. I will do more, and I'll talk more about the youth crimes and all this stuff. But I want to say thank you. Stay tuned for more features and videos. I hope you understand, and I will see your comments and see what you have to say about it and all that. Stay tuned. Take care. Thank you.